In this question, we're going to find the area of a composite shape, but in particular, it's the difference between a square and a quadrant, which is a quarter circle. So the question is, show that the shaded area ABC can be given by x squared outside of 4 minus pi all over 4 square centimeters. So we know by the differences of two shapes, so one shape inside the other, that the shaded area is really the difference between the larger shape and the smaller shape. So the larger shape is a square. So let's write this down. So area is equal to x squared. So since the area of a square is x times x. And we're going to subtract from that the area of this quadrant, this quarter circle. So that's going to be pi r squared over 4. So in fact, the r is in fact x. So this side of a square is in fact the radius of this quadrant. So rather than writing pi r squared, I'm going to write pi x squared, since x and r are the same thing here. And that's going to be over 4 because it's a quarter circle. Okay. Now, if you look at the question gives you basically the form of the answer. It sort of wants it as a single fraction. But notice that when we've written down the expression for the area, it's two separate terms. So let's combine the x squared and the pi x squared over 4 into a single fraction. So the way we're going to do that is we need common denominators. So x squared, okay, if you put that over 4, you've kind of divided it by 4, but you have to compensate for that by multiplying it by 4. So x squared is really the same as 4x squared over 4, since the 4's in fact cancel, minus pi x squared over 4. So we now have a common denominator of 4. Let's now combine the two fractions into a single fraction. So we have 4x squared minus pi x squared all over 4. So can you see now that it's kind of starting to look like the answer we want? And we're not inventing things here, sort of out of thin air. We're applying, the theory of algebra to simplify this expression and sort of to make it look like what it's meant to look like. Now, one more thing to note is we've got x squared sort of outside some bracket here, and that occurs through factorizing. So looking at the numerator now of this fraction, you've got 4x squared minus pi x squared. Okay, the common term here is the x squared. So why don't we take that out as a common factor? So we don't worry about the denominator, it's got sort of nothing to do with it. Okay, so taking out the x squared, that leaves 4 minus pi, okay, sort of left in brackets, all over 4. And that equals what we want, in fact. So that's as required. So you can see that this is just as much a question on algebra, in fact, on working with algebra and algebraic manipulation, as it is a question on composite area.